This is the June 2012 modular paper, Unit 3, and you can use a calculator with this. Question 1 is a similar shapes question. A small photograph has a length of 4 centimetres and a width of 3 centimetres. She enlarges the small photograph to make a large photograph. The large photograph has a width of 15 centimetres. The two photographs are similar rectangles. Work out the length of the larger photograph. Now, the fact that it's similar means that you're looking for a scale factor. So you need to work out how many times bigger this one is than this one. Now, in order to calculate a scale factor, you first of all have to identify two corresponding lengths. So that's two lengths that you have information for. So I don't have the length of both triangles. I need to find the length of this triangle. That's the length. But what I do have is the width of both. So as soon as I found the piece of information I have for both rectangles, I can find the scale factor by doing the big divided by the small. So I can do the 15 divided by the 3 equals 5. So that means that this rectangle is 5 times larger than that one. So to get to this from this, I just times by 5. Therefore, because my length over here is 4 centimetres, I need to multiply that by my scale factor of 5, and that will give me my new length of 20 centimetres. This is a 3-mark question. You get 1 mark for finding the scale factor. You get an answer mark for getting the answer right, and you get a communication mark for showing centimetres because it doesn't have it on the answer line. Question 2 is a slightly more complicated simple interest question. So £500 is invested at a simple interest rate of 3% per year. Simple interest, not compound interest. After how many years is the total interest £60? Now, simple interest is when the same amount is added each year. Compound interest is when you have a different amount recalculated every year. So with compound interest, you get interest on the previous year's interest as well. With simple interest, you don't. So first thing I want to do is find what 3% of £500 is, because that'll tell me how much interest is in 1 year. Now, it's a calculator paper. 3% is 3 divided by 100, or 0.03 of is times, and 500, and that gives me £15. So that means you get £15 interest per year. We need to know after how many years is the interest £60. So £60 divided by the £15 she gets per year equals 4. So it takes her 4 years to get £60. You get 1 mark for showing that you can calculate 1 year's interest. You get 2 marks for showing that you can, the other mark for showing that you can scale that up to make a relationship with the 60, and then you get the answer mark for getting the answer correct. Question 3 is about dividing fractions, and we've actually got these as mixed numbers. So the first thing I need to do is to convert them into improper fractions. So to do that, I need to take the whole number, multiply it by the bottom, and add to the top. So 3 times 3 is 9, add 1 is 10. So that's the same as 10 thirds, divided by 4 times 4, which is 16, add 3 equals 19. So now I've got them both as top-heavy fractions. I need to change it into a multiplication question by flipping the second fraction. So I end up with 10 over 3 times by 4 over 19. And what that allows me to do is 10 times 4, which is 40, and then 3 times 19, which is 57. I can't cancel that down, so this is only a 2-mark question. I get 1 mark for showing that I can write the fractions as improper, and I get the answer mark for getting the answer. As this is a calculator paper, they do actually accept 0.70175, so on. So if you've got the answer as a decimal, then that's also fine. Question 4 is a percentage increase question. There's two ways to actually approach this. I'm going to show you both ways. So the first way I'll do it is the most basic, and it's probably what a lot of you will go for. A cooker costs £650 plus 20% VAT. Calculate the total cost of the cooker. So I've got £650 plus whatever that 20% is. So the first method is to find what 20% of £650 is. If it was a non-calc paper, you'd find 10% and then double it. But this is a calculator paper, so I know that that's going to be 0.2 times by 650, which is going to give me 130. And because I know that's what 20% is, I can then do 650 add my 130, and that's going to give me my total cost of £780. So that's the first way of doing it. The second way is going to be a pretty efficient calculator method, and that is by recognising that the original cost is going to be 100%. It's the full cost of the cooker. We're adding 20% to that, so overall we're dealing with 120% of £650, in which case it would be 120 divided by 100 is 1.2 times by 650, and that would give me straight away my 780. You can go about it either way, both are correct. This is the simplest method. This is a slightly more advanced method, and this is also the method that you would use if you were dealing with things like compound interest. In regards to mark distribution, if you chose to do this method, then you get 1 mark for showing that you can calculate the 20%. You get the second mark for showing that you know you needed to add that to the original price, and you get the answer mark for getting it correct. If you chose this method, you get 2 marks for showing that you're aware it's 1.2 times 650, and then you get the answer mark for getting the 780. Part B is dealing with the reduction in price, but this time you're not reducing it. The reduction's already been done. You have to work out what percentage it's been reduced by. So a washing machine has a price of £260. In a sale, its price is reduced by £39. Write the reduction as a percentage of the price. So what am I actually looking for? I want to know what £39 is out of £260. So I'm going to do 39 divided by 260 on my calculator. That's going to give me 0.15. I can then multiply that by 100 because I want it as a percentage. So I multiply it by 100 and that gives me a 15%. So it was reduced by 15%. It's only a 2-mark question. You get 1 mark for either showing that relationship there or by showing the 0.15, and you get the final mark for getting 15%. Question 3 is all about proportionality and using a unitary method to find the cost of something. So they've given you the information that 3 chairs cost £44.79. We need to work out the total cost of 8 of these chairs. So I know 3 chairs is £44.79, and I somehow need to get to 8. Now it's called a unitary method because you need to go via 1 unit. In this case, 1 chair. If we know that 3 chairs is £44.79, in order to get to 1 chair, I would need to divide by 3. So I would do 44.79 divided by 3, and make sure you show the divide by 3. And that's going to give me £14.93. And now I found what 1 is, I want to multiply that back up to 8. So I times it by 8. And 14.93 times by 8 is going to give me £119.44. So that's unitary method, you go via 1 unit. With regards to the mark scheme for this, you get 1 mark for showing that you can find what 1 chair is equal to, and then you get the second mark for getting the answer multiplied up correctly. Question 5 is another unitary method question, only this time what we're going to be looking at is getting all of these down to find out the cost of 1 kilogram. We can't compare the costs of these purely because they're all for different amounts. So if I get them down to find what 1 kilogram is for each, then that's brilliant. So soap powder is sold in 3 sizes of boxes, a 2 kilogram, a 5 kilogram and a 9 kilogram. 2 kilogram box costs £1.89, 5 kilogram £4.30, 9 kilograms £8.46, sorry. Which size is the best value for money? Explain your answer, show all your work in. Well, I'm just going to summarise the question here. You don't have to. 2 kilograms is £1.89, 5 kilograms is £4.30, 9 kilograms is £8.46. By setting it out like this, it lets me very clearly get down to 1 kilogram. This is how I have to set it out because otherwise I end up getting myself confused. This also shows the examiner that you know exactly what you're doing. So to get from 2 kilograms to 1 kilogram, I would divide by 2. To get from 5 kilograms to 1 kilogram, I'm going to divide by 5. And to get from 9, I would divide by 9. So first thing I'm going to do here, 1 kilogram is 1.89 divided by 2, and that equals 0.945. I know we're dealing with money here, so you wouldn't have 3 decimal places, but definitely leave the decimal places in whilst you're still working this out. You'll see why in a minute. So then I do 4.30 divided by 5 equals 0.86, and then I do 8.46 divided by 9, and that equals 0.94. So I can see here that my 2 kilogram packet costs 0.945, so that's just over 94 pence per kilogram. The medium box costs 86 pence per kilogram, and the 9 kilogram box costs 94 pence per kilogram. Now, because we left this decimal place, it means that we can see that it's slightly higher than the 94 pence. So that's why you leave the decimals in. However, it's very clear that this is my cheapest per kilogram. So that is the 5 kilogram box. I'm going to make sure that I explain my answer and it's got a star next to it, which means they're interested in my writing. So I'm going to state clearly that the 5 kilogram box is the best value for money. And I've literally just used what they've asked me in the question. So the 5 kilogram box is the best value of money because it only costs 86p per kilogram compared to 94p and 94.5p, or if you'd rounded it up, 95p. So I've stated very clearly what my opinion is and I've referenced my answers so the examiner can give me marks for this. It's a 4-mark question. You get 1 mark for stating the 5 kilogram. So that's your answer. So that's your answer mark. You get a communication mark for answering the actual question and using your answers to draw a conclusion. And you get 2 marks if you got all 3 of these calculations correct. You get 1 mark if you've only managed to do 2 of them correctly. Question 6 is a transformations question. So you've got triangles A and B there. They want us to describe fully the single transformation which maps triangle A onto triangle B. It's a 3-mark question, which means they want 3 pieces of information. The first piece of information is what transformation it is. The next piece of information they want is by how much. And the third piece of information they want is going to be something to do with the location. So in order to do this, I need tracing paper. I can't actually do transformation questions without tracing paper because I really struggle with things that are visual. So I need to get from A to B. First thing I'm going to do is mark my corners of A on here and very carefully trace my little triangle in. Now I'm also going to put a little arrow pointing upwards from my triangle because that's going to help me work out if it's rotated, how much it's rotated. So I hopefully can see that that triangle is actually the same size as that triangle, but it's just been rotated. So it fits perfectly on, it's been rotated. Now, rotation is where I'm going to get my first mark from. So I'm going to write down there that this has been a rotation. Now I need to look how much it's been rotated. So this is where my arrow comes in handy. It's gone from what would be 12 o'clock to, when it's on that shape, 3 o'clock. So to get from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, it's done a quarter turn, which is actually 90 degrees. Now that's the easiest bit done because you can see it's a rotation and you can see it's 90 degrees. Now I need to find the location, and this is going to be coordinates. Now I don't know what it is just by looking at it straight off, so I'm going to do a couple of trials. I'm going to start by trialing 0, 0 because it seems like a good place to start. So I put my pencil on there and I rotate it 90 degrees. Does it sit on top of the new one? No, it doesn't. So I know that's not correct. It's too low down. I'll put my triangle back where it was and I'll move up one and see if that solves my problem. So I'll rotate it 90 degrees and it hasn't solved it. It's still slightly off. So I'm going to put that back where it is. I'm going to try a next one. Let's come across one there. Try that. And yeah, that fits exactly on it. So this is the point, and I can see it's the coordinate point 1, 1. So I'm going to put my location on here. 1, 1. And that's my 3 marks. 1, 2, 3. Question 7 is a trial and improvement question. So you have to be very specific about the method that you use when setting one of these out, and you have to include an evaluation whenever you do it. So the equation x cubed plus 10x equals 23 has a solution between 1 and 2. They're telling you the solution is between 1 and 2. Use a trial and improvement method to find the solution. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. You must show all of your work in. Now, the most difficult thing in this is managing to get 1 decimal place, which means you have to do a test with 2 decimal places, and then you use that to decide which 1 decimal place answer you're going to use. So we're going to trial different values for x, and we're going to aim to get it so that x cubed plus 10x equals 23. And then we're going to make a comment about the trial that we do. So I need to set this table up, and the table is definitely the easiest way to go about doing this. Now, the first mark that you're going to get on this question is for testing the 2 values for x that they've given you. So the first one, you're going to test 1, and then the second one you're going to test is 2. Now, always, the first one is going to be too small, and that one is going to be too big. So regardless of what the answers are at the moment, the first one will be too small, the second one will be too big, and then you'll be expected to show that you can go halfway between the 2. Now, we don't know whether that's going to be too big or small. That depends on the answer. But that is how the question needs to be set up to start with. So let's have a look at this, and we'll put it in the calculator. Now, we want to do 1 cubed plus 10 times 1, and we want to see what that equals. So here's my calculator. I'm going to set it up as 1 So I'll press 1 cubed, so that's this button here, plus, then I'm going to open a bracket to do this, 10 times 1, and close that bracket off, and that equals 11. Now I'm keeping that on my display, you'll see why in a minute. So that equals 11. And I wanted 23, so as you can see, 11 is too small. Now I'm going to do that exact same thing, but with a 2 in instead. So I already set it up on my calculator with the 1 in. All I need to do now is press the back key, and wherever I've got a 1, I can delete that, so it becomes empty, and I can replace it with a 2. Let me zoom out. So it's got a 2 there now. I'm going to scroll back there, delete that 1, and make that 2 as well. So now I've got 2 cubed plus 10 times 2, and that equals 28. And I wanted 23, I've got 28, so that is too big. Now I'm going to try the middle, which is 1.5. So again, I'm going to use my back key. I'm going to press delete, and I'm going to put 1.5 in there instead of the 2. And that's going to give me 18.375. Now, at this point, I'm not going to carry on calculating it because I've got the answers written in front of me. But you need to make sure you can use your calculator fluently to do this and save yourself some time. So it gave me 18.375. I wanted 23. That is too small. That means I need to trial the next one up, which is 1.6. When I put that in my calculator, it will give me 20.096. That again is too small. I need to go up to 1.7. When I put that in, it will give me 21.913. Again, it's too small. So I'm going to trial 1.8. That's going to give me 23.832. And that is now going to be too big. And just like in the first part, whenever I get one that's too small and then one that's too big, I need to go down the middle. So halfway between 1.7 and 1.8 is 1.75. Now this is where people start getting confused. They only wanted the answer to 1 decimal place. And these are the numbers that are to 1 decimal place. It's the 1.7 and the 1.8. So one of these two is going to be my correct answer. I'm just using this one to 2 decimal places to test. So when I put that all into my formula, 1.75 cubed plus 10 times 1.75, that ends up giving me 22.859, which is too small, which means I need to go for the biggest of my options, which was 1.8 to 1 decimal place. If you need to think of it as a number line, you had 1.7 there, and you had 1.8 there. Now 1.7 ended up giving you 21.91, and 1.8 gave you 23.832, and you tried 1.75, which gave you 22.85. So we know our answer is up this end somewhere, and that's why we choose the 1.8. Mark scheme is always split up for these questions in the same way. You get your first mark for showing that you've tested the 2 they gave you and then going down the middle. You then get your second mark for finding the 2 that the answer is between. You get the third mark for running the test. And you get the fourth mark for getting the answer correct. Now, you do not get the mark, even if you've shown all of this and you haven't written a comment, you will not get the mark. You have to have the comment. So the trials have to be evaluated. You have to show why you've chosen the next number you've shown.